Good morning and welcome to the AM News. My name is Enimoa Enimado. Our very first story, Chairman of Parliament's Finance Committee, Kweku Kwarteng, is urging the House to cut down on expenditure. Mr. Kwarteng says the procurement of glossy calendars and diaries for members of Parliament, coupled with sole sourcing of contracts, imposes a huge budgetary obligation on the country's expenditure. He also wants Parliament to cut down on the number of MPs. Making a case for the approval of the 2022 budget, Kweku Kwarteng cautioned NDC MPs against moves to oppose the economic policy.
See again, a commitment by government to cut back on the exemptions we give in this economy. And as I speak, Mr. Speaker, we are aware that the exemptions bill 2021 has been laid in this House. Mr. Speaker, these are the interventions government is asking us for approval for. But, Mr. Speaker, I proceed by saying, as Parliament, not only should we be approving and supporting government in these initiatives, Mr. Speaker, we as Parliament must also lead by example. Are there ways, Mr. Speaker, are there ways the leadership of Parliament can cut costs as Ghana seeks to bridge the gap between our revenues and expenditures? Mr. Speaker, are there ways that this House we can lead by the example? The Speaker reminds us all the time that we are the representatives of the people. Mr. Speaker, Parliament should not just oversight the executives. We must lead by example. Mr. Speaker, sole sourcing in parliamentary procurements. Are we going to deal with sole sourcing procurement by this House? Is this something as a House we would like to not just oversight the executive? Is this something that we should do? Mr. Speaker, should we continue, for example, to procure these glossy calendars and glossy diaries year on year for Parliament, for which we have very little utilization? Mr. Speaker, it is not enough for members of Parliament to be out there calling out the executive and asking the executive to demonstrate commitment to fiscal prudence. We ourselves must set the example. Mr. Speaker, I must go on. I can go on and on and on. But I pause here. Mr. Speaker, we can even add, Mr. Speaker, that it is time to cap the number of members of Parliament for the Republic of Ghana.
Ranking on the Finance Committee, Dr. Cassiel Atuforsen also observed that the revenue targets set for the year 2022 are unrealistic, arguing it is overestimated by about 10 billion Ghana cedis, which is equivalent to about 2% of our GDP.
It is important for us to accept that it is indeed an undeniable fact that the Ghanaian economy, all is not well for us. So, Speaker, as we speak, the Ghanaian economy is in an intensive care unit. Mr. Speaker, permit me to diagnose the sickness of the Ghanaian economy. Mr. Speaker, to surprise you to know that the Ghanaian economy today is sick from what we call stagflation with acute debt overhang syndrome. In other words, you can call it sardosis. Mr. Speaker, I repeat, the Ghanaian economy as we speak is sick from stagflation with acute debt overhang syndrome. In other words, sardosis. Mr. Speaker, why am I saying so? Mr. Speaker, I say so for a simple reason. Stagflation is a situation in an economy where there is slow and jobless real sector growth that is accompanied with high unemployment and rising inflation. Mr. Speaker, we all know that as we speak, there is rising unemployment in this economy. In fact, unemployment has become a national security threat. Again, as generous as I am, I'm a Father Christmas. I'm going to assume that you are going to have growth of about 7%. So, Speaker, all this put together will give you 12.5 billion. So, Speaker, let's assume that they've announced compliance measures. We all know that compliance is not costed in any budget, but let me cost it for them and give them about 2.5 billion Ghana cedis. So, Speaker, I'm sorry to say that the estimations in the budget statement, what is before us, our tax revenue has been over-projected by 10 billion Ghana cedis, representing 2% of our GDP. 2% of our GDP. Hey. Where is your credibility, Honorable Minister? Honorable members, where is the credibility of this government? Where is the credibility of this government? This budget is the most inconsistent, wrongly estimated budget I've ever seen since I became Ghanaian. In fact, since Kwame Nkrumah went to Guinea. Mr. Speaker, I am sad. I'm sad for a simple reason that this government is actually increasing the sickness of this country. Currently, our sickness, we are sick from sardosis. Today, as a result of your wrong projection, if care is not taken, Ghana is going to be sick with sardosis too. And that will mean that we are going to move from intensive care unit to high intensive care unit in the emergency room. The situation is appalling and it should not be accepted.
Up north, less than 20 of the pupils of Bihe Primary School in the Wa municipality have access to furniture. The rest lie on the eroded, dirty and shoddy concrete floor to study, leaving their books and uniforms dirtied and torn. Flip that with the situation at Singh Kindergarten, where the pupils hold classes under neem and ebony trees using their chairs as tables. Upper West correspondent Rafiq Salam has the rest of this story.
Watching from afar, you may think that all is well at the Bihe Primary School until you get closer. The first point of disappointment that greets you is the bevy of broken tables and chairs kept at a veranda in between classrooms. That clearly paints a mental picture of the furniture challenge at the school. Moving to Primary 1, out of a total of 62 pupils, only 8 of them sat on 3 old and weakened dwell decks. The rest sat on the bare, eroded, dirty cement floor in a certain style akin to monkeys and kangaroos. Their school bags and books are recklessly placed by their sides or in front of them. The constant and continuous sitting and rubbing of their uniforms and mufti on the rough concrete floor have resulted in some of them being dirty and in some cases torn, exposing their vital parts. Issa Salam is the head teacher of Bihe Primary School.
This is a class of 65 pupils, but as you can see, we have only about 10 furniture in the classroom. And if we go to all the classes we have in this school, we are facing the same challenge in this school. For instance, the Primary 1, we have about 62 children in that class. And if we go in there, we have only 3 furniture. So
enter Primary 2, and it is worse. All the conditions that exist in Primary 1 are here. A couple of benches have crooked stands that the people scramble to sit. The cliché in this classroom is first come, first serve, and sometimes it is the survival for the fittest. The bigger ones sometimes outpoise the smaller ones and bully them to sit on the old weak bench. COVID-19 safety health protocols are breached and thrown to the dogs due to inadequate furniture.
Those who are lying on the floor, it has a serious impact in terms of their learning, because when they write on the board and they are asked to write, it becomes a problem. Apart from that, their uniforms can easily get dirty, and once the uniforms get dirty, diseases, germs are likely to be transferred to their bodies.
Unlike the situation at BA Primary School, where they are grappling with the issue of inadequate furniture, the situation at St. Primary School is quite different. Here, they don't have classrooms, and what they do, they are attending classes under a neem and ebony tree. At least, they can boast of chairs that are uniformed, but conspicuously missing are hexagonal wooden tables. As a result of that, they squat on the bare sand and use the chairs as their tables. The position of the sun also determines which size of the trees that the class will be held. For fear of being drenched, rainy days are holidays for the pupils. Head teacher of St. Primary School, Sano Alex, explains further.
You realize that anytime it is threatening to rain, they cannot sit under these trees to learn. So some of them, even when it is threatening to rain, they will just say, because we don't have classroom, we won't come to school. It's better we stay in the house rather than coming to school and then we have no places. So it's affecting a lot. At the moment, we are in the dry season, and you see that a lot of leaves are falling. And these children, when they are falling, their concentration is there. So we will wish that if there is a better way of giving us infrastructure, so that to allow these children to have a good place, a decent place to sit, it will help a lot.
One Municipal Director of Education, Sophia Dimanjo, who also doubles as the Dean of Directors of Education in the region, noted the challenges that the pupils are going through. Siharaba was quick to add that they are working with the One Municipal Assembly to fix the challenges.
We work.
In the central region, the Ghana Water Company has dragged 28 of its customers in the Komenda Edna Eguafo Abram municipality and the Cape Coast South District to court over unpaid utility bills. According to the company, the individuals owe the company more than 300,000 Ghana cedis, and despite persistent notices by the company, they have not made any attempts to pay the bills. Communications Director of the company for the Western and Central regions, Nana Yao Bani, told the media after the court proceedings they would resort to the law courts to get their customers who owe them to pay their bills. Richard Kojo Nyako has more in the following report.
A number of customers within the central region who are owing Ghana Water Company various sums of monies, and they have been disconnected, some for 3 years, some 2 years, 1 year. And we've made every effort to retrieve those arrears, to collect those amounts of monies that they owe us. But they have failed or refused to pay those monies. So the last resort that we have is to come to court.
Communications Director of the Ghana Water Company for the Western and Central regions, Nana Yao Bani, explaining why the company decided to resort to the courts. According to the Ghana Water Company, the customers who have defaulted have ignored several reminders and notices to them to pay their bills. 28 of them from the Komenda Edna Eguafo Abram municipality and the Cape Coast South District were dragged to the court by the company. Nana Yao Bani gives further details.
So far, we have 28 customers who owe Ghana Water Company in excess of 305,000 Ghana cedis. We've been to court this morning. We first went to Komenda Edna Eguafo Abram district to prosecute customers there. We had a customer who came and another did not come. So it has been adjourned to the 5th of December. We have been here, that is the Cape Coast District Court, in respect of a certain number of customers. You know, somebody was owing as much as 50,000 Ghana cedis, some 10,000 Ghana cedis, and they don't want to pay.
Lawyer for the Ghana Water Company, Isaac Griffin, says the company has been forced to take the legal action and want the defaulters to act in good faith.
We've brought them because some are in arrest for almost a year.
6 months, 7 months, and we think it is not helping. Even if, assuming without admitting that you have not even been served with your water bill, a prudent consumer, it is, proper for you to even approach the company to demand for your bill once you know that you have consumed. And their failure to do that. But then it's on record that they have been dealing with what? Been giving them individual bills, and then they have even before we did not just got up to actually brought them. We served them notices, ample notices. And we thought that the only option is to bring them to court.
The cases have been adjourned to enable the accused persons to appear in court to answer the charges brought against them. Reporting for Joy News, Richard Kwejenyako, Cape Coast.
And moving to Kumasi, flooding within the River Pra Basin is expected to get severe as a result of increasing human activities. A study by the Meteorology and Climate Science Unit of the Department of Physics, KNUST, has revealed the Pra River Basin has recently become topical due to deforestation and illegal mining without land reclamation. These activities have been reported to negatively impact the ecosystem. Love FM's Chrissy Deborah has been speaking with scientists who undertook this study.
So first of all, we needed rainfall data, and we used that rainfall data to obtain how dry conditions would occur over the catchment, and as well as how the rainy conditions would also occur over the catchment. And then in addition, we also tried to get flood data or flooding simulations of floods at the catchment. So this flooding data that we obtained would give us an informed decision on the extent of flooding at the catchment, and then as well as how this flooding would also be occurring in a few years from now. Yes. Okay, so our major findings are that one, we are experiencing flooding, and yes, they are going to continue. And then we are also going to be prone to dry days, which can massively affect our agricultural activities. And these increasing dry days are going to have impact on on crops which have short durations, that they don't need so much dry conditions. So, for instance, maize has a short production period. So if you are going to be having increasing dry days over the catchment, then in essence, we are going to be losing our production on crops such as maize. So when we, in the face of this dryness and extreme wet conditions, that's one, in a short period of time, there's likely to be an extreme or heavy rainfall. Then we should have an advanced or have a notion of harvesting these extreme rainfall that occurs, so we can use it in case of these drought conditions or dryness that will occur.
Tiwa Forest actually, we look at, as I indicated, the cost-benefit analysis is very critical for governments to really go into mining both sides. So they need to do the holistic one. The other thing also is that they have to look out for a mining technology, a technology of doing the mining without destroying the forest. These are options that they can also look at. And because after the analysis you realize really we need to do the mining, then you have to look at that. Those are some of the other things that you look at. Now we also have to realize some of these distractions, as we saw, it's not only government. It's usually we the people living within those community. So these people also, there should be a lot of education on how to really manage the district. But over time, as Ghanaians or Africans, we have lived on nature. We have all our benefits is from nature, but how much do we replenish nature? That should be also be so recycling, making sure that we make efforts to plant trees.
And that's it for the AM News. The AM show continues right after this with the newspaper review.